Alright, hi everyone and welcome back. Now, you might be wondering, hang on, didn't we just do one of these like yesterday or something? Yeah, so in form check number 14, I went through four different videos, and this was a weird one because I normally do form checks every month or so, depending on how many people sent stuff into me. So I'd left this off around 3 months or 4 months because it's winter season, it was too busy, and I didn't get a whole lot of stuff to review, so I kind of left it off. Now, that said, in the last couple of weeks, I've had a few people send me more stuff, and in doing so, I have left out one video. Now, this normally wouldn't be grounds for panic. After all, it's only a form check. Let me just fix the camera up a bit. There we go. So, it's only a form check. It wasn't a big deal. But this was a special request from one of my viewers. This person is Kusal. Now, Kusal is a beginner. He has a competition next month, and he wants some feedback. So I feel kind of bad forgetting it. Again, there's a few changes on the Facebook front. The interface has changed, so I'm losing track of a few things. So I thought I'd do him a favor, squeeze in one quick form check. Now, depending on what people are up to. If you want to send in a video during the stream, then you're more than welcome to. But for the most part, I have one video lined up. Now, the reason why I've got this one lined up specifically, apart from giving Kusal some critical feedback immediately, because he does have his competition next week or next month, there's also many things that are not right in this video. Not necessarily bad things, but there are many beginner elements in this video which I think many people would benefit from highlighting. Now, I'm not being too harsh because he's a beginner, but there are some really big things which I have to point out. So that's the goal for this stream. It shouldn't take too long. It might take around 15 minutes. For once, it could be a short stream. But again, if I get surprised with some videos later on, maybe things will change. Yes, it is 11 p.m. here. What's kind of weird here is that it is daylight savings. So we've changed our times, sprung forward already. So I'm losing a bit of, I've lost track of time. So I don't know what time it is over you are. But here it's 11 p.m. So this will be a short stream. Hi to everyone, by the way, in chat. We've got Miko, Sammy, as usual. Kitson, welcome back. Foxen, seeing you around a lot recently. And a few others will pop in very shortly. So we've got a few things to watch here. So this is going to be a very quick video. Let's go over to our Firefox site, and let's take a look at Kusal. So like I said, Kusal is a beginner. He's very new, very new. So when you watch this, you'll recognize perhaps a lot of things which you might have done, as well as a few things which probably desperately need changing. So as usual, I'll give a bit of commentary as I watch this, and if you have some extra feedback, feel free to add it in the comments. I'm sure Kusal will appreciate it. I'll answer Ben's question very shortly. So let's have a look at Kusal, and I'll listen on the headphones as well. Here we go. And I'll get the volume down a bit. Now, it's a 2-minute video, but there's a certain thing which I have to point out right away. That's a sky draw. So Kusal, first thing, and what everyone in chat will yell at you for doing now is you cannot legally do this. This is a dangerous draw. We call this a high draw or a sky draw. This is not allowed in the rules, entire competition. The rule, it's so painful to watch. This is like, I don't want to go hard on Kusal right away, but if you're watching this and you're not sure why we harp on so much about sky drawing, this is the equivalent for those who practice firearms and firearm safety. This is the equivalent to wanding someone with your firearm, so passing the muzzle towards them or pointing towards somebody. It's the thing where you cringe and going, oh, that's you don't do that ever. Don't ever do that. And this is exactly the sort of thing which you should never do. So I'm not being hard on Kusal, but it is so important to point this out because many people who submit videos notice, as a common sense thing. I do sometimes point out in some videos that there might be an element of a sky draw depending on what the judge says, but in most cases people are in line. So let's watch this again. I do apologize for the cringe, but it is so important to point out. So we'll watch Kusal's draw method and we'll talk about why this is an illegal and dangerous draw. So here we go. So this is so painful. I do apologize. So the rule is that when the archer begins drawing, the arrow must be on target. That's roughly what the rule says. So the arrow should be parallel with the ground, more or less, given that you have to arc the arrow to reach the target. But the arrow must be pointed at the target when the archer begins to draw. There's an exact wording, can't remember what it was, but it's a very specific rule. Now, this point, now where's the target, by the way? I can't see the target. So the target, oh my goodness, the target is, it's a short range target. The target is right in front. So this is where the draw should start and end. They should not go above this point. Some will go a little higher and then draw on target, so that's fine. But this should not be, like, the way he draws should not be any higher than this. And yet when we look at the draw, that's a 45-degree angle. If he lets go, it's going to shoot, well, not into the roof, but into the next property. This is a highly dangerous draw. It's very unusual to come across someone who is this new that they do this instinctively. So this is why I wanted to specify this particular live stream to highlight numerous form problems, but this is one huge one, and I'm sorry, Kusal, to use the example, but since you asked the feedback, you cannot do this in a competition. It is illegal, it is dangerous, and you will be warned, and if you do it again, you will be eliminated from the competition. This is a very dangerous method here, so don't ever do this. So that's out of the way now. I will see this with every shot in this sequence, okay? But please be mindful of that sky draw. That is one of the most dangerous things I've seen in archery. I have a quick question from Ben there. Sorry, I said I'll get back to it very soon. So Ben, what are the best arrows you would recommend for a 33-pound, 29.5-inch draw for 20-yard indoor and 3 AAA? Indoor 3 AAA will probably benefit more from thicker arrows because you shoot shorter distances in those disciplines. I don't really have a preference for arrows per se. Depends on which one to spend. You probably aren't going to be using like the X10s and ACEs. They're very good arrows, and some people use ACEs for 3D and field. So, and like the top end would be ACEs, but it also depends on your budget too. If you're going for budget, something cheaper, especially for 3D, where you end up like losing arrows and breaking arrows. Probably something mid-range. An ACG, the Eastern ACG isn't too bad. Even going lower than that, you might go for like Eastern carbon ones. It kind of depends on what you're looking for. Short distance is much more forgiving. You don't need the low profile and anti-wind drift features of the high end arrows. Oh yes, the XX75 patterns are also very good too. Those are the aluminium arrows. They're very good for close distance and in 3D. So if you're shooting aluminiums for that sort of thing, then yeah, the XX75, the Eastern ones are excellent too. Thanks Simon and Sammy for suggesting that. Anyway, let's get back to, Simon. Hi from Scotland. Looking for a backpack that fits behind a wheelchair. Any suggestions? Most of the backpack designs, as far as I know, should be able to be worn behind a wheelchair. You might want to check out the backpacks from Legend Archery. I should actually review some. I do have a line with Legend, so I might request them to send me a backpack to review. But most of the backpacks should be compatible with wheelchairs. I'm not actually sure myself, so I can't be 100% certain recommending that. But most backpacks will. The Legend ones are particularly good because there are different price levels with different complexities of design. But a good question then. You might want to look around the backpacks. Legend makes very good backpacks. That's what I would recommend as a brand. Anyway, back to Kudal's shooting. So we've established already that the sky draw is bad. Now there are several other things to note here. We'll see more in the stance later on. But to me, this is a slightly wide stance. Their feet are pointed diagonally away from each other. We'll see it over here. Oh, that's a bow. Over here, this is a lot more prominent. So the stance this is not a good stance. So if you watch the draw, again, the sky draw, the string's under tension, the draw has begun, this is illegal. And you can see this is a 45-degree draw, very dangerous draw. So I see this. Oh my goodness, I can't get past this sky draw. This is the most dangerous draw I've seen in archery. So the reason why this is even more dangerous is that he actually holds a 45-degree full draw. Starting and coming down, some people do that habitually, instinctively, but considering that's full draw and it's not even on target, that's a very dangerous draw. Anyway, so the point we're talking about here is a stance. So this is a somewhat of an open stance, that's fine, but we can see a few things here. The first one is the feet positioning is unstable. With the feet splayed apart like this, you're putting weight in the wrong parts of your feet. Ideally, the feet should be parallel. Okay, now some people have to do this, but this is not a stable stance compared to having the feet parallel. So I recommend closing your stance somewhat, so making it narrower. Have the feet no more than shoulder width apart. Some people do this, they think it's more stable. You're actually putting more strain on your muscles and not your bone structure. So shoulder width apart, feet parallel. Whether you shoot with an open stance or a square stance, that's a preference thing. So neither one is exceptionally better than the other, but the feet positioning is definitely off here. So that's a couple of things. So sky draw and then feet positioning. Now the rest of it is going to be quite messy. So we'll watch the whole thing together. I'll let the chat figure out what else is going wrong here. Yes, it's for those talking in chat. It is illegal to wear, thongs or sandals in competition. Obviously, this isn't competition. This is just home practice, so I'm not too worried about his footwear. But the technique he's using is quite dangerous. All right, so let's go through and watch the entire sequence, and we'll try to summarize and identify the main points. So far, we have sky draw and stance. I'm not going to comment too much. Hopefully the volume's loud enough for you guys. I'll actually put the volume up slightly, because you have to listen for the clicker as well. It's using a Hoyt Horizon with Samick limbs. Sorry. Alright, that's the first set, and a second set of arrows. And we'll do probably one more set. We've probably seen what we need to see, and that's the last angle. And we'll do one more shot. Okay, and we'll pause. So, there's a lot of things happening. Hey, it's Ning from Moorabbin. I was going to go to Moorabbin on Saturday, but I'm still recovering from gout, so glad to see you shooting again and back in action. Let's see what chat has to say here. So, we mentioned before, yes, footwear is... This is practice, not the cover of footwear. Show us start in slow motion. Sure, I'll do that next sequence, Sammy. So the first reactions, Ben, holding too long after the clicker, and Simon says he's pulling down on release and doesn't seem to keep standstill position. And I think these things are all accurate. So, is he using his back, or is definitely sky drawing? So, it's hard to tell back tension from this particular angle, but the thing that, we'll actually use the front angle here. Okay, now. The thing which immediately got to me, apart from the whole thing there and that thing down there, but the thing which gets to me is, yes, he is hanging onto the shot after clicker. Now, I'll say before I got the clicker part, the foundation of the shot is actually okay. So if we take a freeze frame here, this is fairly good positioning. Okay, the stance is a little wide, the feet are splayed, but is actually not that bad. Head could be a little more down, I guess, but the arms are in very good position. So I don't want to just hammer Kudal for just doing everything wrong. He does have a fairly good T shape. And that's what archers should be aspiring to, and what they should visualize in the shot process. So this is looking pretty good. Now, the thing which is bothering me the most is the clicker usage. This is something where if you don't have a coach to show you, you can create negative training habits. And what I mean by this is you basically ignore the clicker. And there is effectively no point in using a clicker if you ignore it. So let's watch the shot from start to finish. So the clicker went off a second ago, okay? So there's no point counting how long it takes, but you know he's hanging on. That's a clicker. That's around a 3-second delay between clicker and shot. Let's do a next shot. Click. And in fairness, he's doing the right motion in trying to expand through the shot. So he has some elements of a good shot process. They're not coordinated and synchronized in the right way, but they are present. And I think that's actually quite an important point there. So in a positive sense, he is doing the right thing in general, but he needs to synchronize it with the clicker. So click, no, not yet. That's the click, and that's the shot. So what Kudal really has to do, for anyone who's training in using a clicker, especially without a coach, what you really have to do is to create, you have to make this subconscious in your mind. I think most people in chat right now shoot Olympic recurve and use clickers. You know exactly what I'm talking about. I think Ning, you're in a good position to comment here because you've run a machine for a few months as well. Clicker usage is exceptionally difficult to pick up, and we tried to teach it earlier. And it can be very tricky because you're pulling through, you're focused on aiming at the target, and you try to make it click. And just that whole synchronization is very tough. But it is crucial to get the synchronization. So the moment the click goes, you let go. That is the important part. If you don't do so, there's effectively no point in using a clicker. As harsh as it sounds for some people, you cannot ignore the clicker. If you want to ignore it, just take it off and don't use it. It's there to tell you to let go. That's the entire purpose of the clicker, is to mark consistent draw length, and the moment it clicks, you release. So that's, I think, a very crucial training part for Kudal. That's my main point of feedback. The sky draw is the first one, the clicker is the second one. Because the whole point, like I said before, is you have to train in subconscious reaction time to your clicker. People with really good clicker control will release within a split second, like less than half a second. As soon as the click moves, you shoot. And that's a very fast response time. I have come across archers who hang on to the shot after the clicker. I've never seen one of those people shoot well. There's one in our club who does that. He tried to justify that he wants to focus on aiming and ignore the clicker. No, you have to actually do everything at once. You have to learn to synchronize your aim and expansion and click and release. These things have to work together. You can't ignore one to focus on the other. And I think that's what Kudao is doing. This is what my club member does as well. But this is a demonstration in a visual way. But yeah, if you use one, you have to respect it. If you put it on and you click and you don't let go while using clicker because you're not adding anything in, that is super important. That's why I wanted to do this video for Kudao, because one, there's the illegal sky draw, but the click is also quite worrying. So what else can we pick out there, right? So we've got quite a few things identified. Let's go back to Kudao, and quite a few people joining in chat now, so we can see this sequence again. We're going to overanalyze Kudao's shot process here because I think he deserves this one. If you want to do one's competition, there are some things you need to work out. So for those joining us, we'll go through things. So first, the sky draw, you can't do that. The stance is too wide open, the feet are splayed apart, and the clicker is being ignored. So he clicks there, and that's about 2 to 3 second delay. Now he does execute a fairly decent release. So the T shape is there. So his arms are in the right position. Now, is he using back tension? It's tough to say for this angle. A lot of people will point out that he's using his arms more than his back. That's likely, given that he's a beginner. So he's probably not used to activating the back muscles. That's fine. Okay, this is where we all start from. Back tension is good. Can't really say so. Got to show you in person if possible. But for the most part, we'll drop the volume down a bit there. For the most part, he does actually have a good frame. So his T-shape's okay. Some releases are quite erratic. So the previous shot, his hand follows through behind his ear. I think it was this one. Let's go to that one there. So that one there. So that's actually a decent straight back. It goes a little low. That's not too bad. We see the next shot though. The release goes off. Click here. And that's come straight down. So again, with beginners, release tends to be somewhat inconsistent. The hand might fly outwards and you pluck the string. Ideally, it should be straight line back and you should be behind your ear if they're behind your head. That's the motion. And to do that, back tension is the giveaway. If the hand flings away, it's an arm or hand-based release where you're consciously letting go, whereas the back should be the one that drives the release. And this is why you need to synchronize the clicker. It's so important that as soon as you get to this point, okay, this is where you're at full draw. I'm not sure about the anchor, by the way. It's a little high. It's just above his chin. I can't see an angle where we can see his anchor point particularly well. It's not bad. Some people go a little under. That's a little. It's okay. I'm not too worried about this. But this is the full draw. Now, when you're in this position, that's just when you squeeze the back muscle together. So the shoulders squeeze together. You feel tension in your back. So before you even get to this point, so let's actually slow this down. Same with the point about doing a slow motion one. Let's do a half speed shot process. So I'm gonna go from the sky draw. Let's say it goes to here. And in fact, we'll mute this thing because it's too loud now. Alright, so at this point, what you should be doing is this should be you should feel the tension in your trapezoids in the back over here, not your armpit, but your back. And you squeeze these shoulders together, so your shoulder blades begin to touch, and then this will activate the clicker, and then you release. So the draw length is correct, but the way he's finishing the shot is not optimal. So we see this motion. He tries it here. You can see it in slow motion. He does try, and I have to give credit to Kudao. As a beginner, it's very hard to get this. That's why the motion is kind of large, but it's the correct motion. He is trying to get through the clicker, and it's already clicked, by the way. So he's trying to get the shot done, and then he does it. So he's got a halfway there. It's not 100% bad. It's around, let's say, probably 50 to 60% good. Okay, so in fairness, it's got most of the fundamentals in the shot there. If you go to this part thing, same with the side view, so it gets to full draw there. Again, unfortunately, sky drawing is bad. It should be like just right in, straight back, right in the anchor point. Now, this is where, again, you start the expansion. So the shoulders come together, and then you have a straight shot. You drive the shot through your shoulders, and that will activate the clicker, and that will tell you to let go, to release. That's the pattern. So full draw, expand, click, release. And what he's done, unfortunately, is that he draws, he clicks, then he thinks about expanding, then he lets go. And because of that, these things are not synchronized in the right order, and the shot, it might be on target because he's holding it steady enough. It might be on target, but the clicker it's actually going to be a hindrance. If you're going to ignore it, take it off. It's going to hinder you because it's going to click and you'll panic, and it's not positive training. If you're going to use it correctly. That's the slow-mo shot. Now if we go back to our normal speed, I'll put the volume back up. So again, sky draw, click, and that's when it should let go. So the moment some people would have to slightly underdraw and then power it through. Clearly he's overdrawing, so he's very close to the edge of a clicker and is not ready to shoot. So he needs to be in position, ready to activate and engage the back tension and the back muscles, click, release. It's already clicked, and now he's kind of like, what do I do now? So you need to get this right. Otherwise, look at this. This is a nice clean line through the arm. This is almost picture perfect. If we ignore the fact that it's got a draw and the click's gone off. But for the most part, it's as good as it gets for a beginner. Ugh. Should point out, I'm not sure if this arm guard, there's the arm guard here, there's a sleeve here. I've got a feeling that Kudal isn't rotating his elbow. That might be there to prevent string slap on the inner joint. The arm guard won't stop that, so some people put extra padding here. This, instead of addressing the symptoms, address the cause. Your elbow needs to rotate out more. Let's just have a look at this angle. It's hard to see with the black, but I've got a feeling that he's hitting his inner elbow, which is what many beginners do. Make sure that's rotated. Kind of hard to see. It's a pretty clean path for the string though. Get to the very end. So again, it's nearly picture perfect from this point of view, but you can hit a clicker go, and then the shot happens, and it's not synchronized. So the main thing is you have to pay attention to your clicker, in a sense where it should be automatic, it should be subconscious, but don't ignore it. When it clicks, you let go. If you're not yet ready to let go, don't do the shot, start again. Work on that synchronization. So that's my big feedback for Kudal, sorry. There are several things to consider there. As I said, the sky draw is a huge problem. The stance is wide, not a major problem, but it is unstable. The clicker must be respected. If you ignore it, then it's going to cause problems for you. So you need to train to use the clicker correctly, and try to work on using back tension to get it through the clicker. I might actually say that you should set the clicker a little more towards you, so you have more space to work with. It just looks like that Kudal is too close to the clicker point, so when it gets to full draw, he clicks, he activates prematurely, and then he does a shot afterwards. So you might want them to click it in and then stretch out. That's going to be the path forward. Not so much for the competition, but for your own training and development as an archer. That's something I highly recommend, is get in there, expand, click goes, and then you release. And if you can't get that expansion without the clicker going off, then your clicker's too far forward, move it in. That's the crucial point there. Alright. Chat, I've got a lot more people today. Oh, this is probably the best time to do a stream. I did it. It's a Friday afternoon. That's probably a bad choice. Some of the weekends probably much better at it. Let's go up a bit here. Where are we? So back to chat. Thank you, Andrew. By the way, haven't done a lot of gameplay videos recently, though. I am playing Assassin's Creed Odyssey. I'm loving it. That'll be the next Pop Shot episode, definitely. Lots of fun stuff there. Is the grip too strong? Let's have a look back at his thing. Whoops. Probably. Not the biggest problem, but if we were to identify things, is that a strong grip? Yeah, there's too many fingers on the riser. It's not the main problem. There are bigger problems. This is fairly normal for where it's at. So yeah, I would probably relax the hand a bit more. But it's not the #1 priority. But yeah, you're right. The grip is a little strong there. What else do we have? So we've got, let's go back to chat. Yeah, it looks like he's using his side elbows only. I agree with that, and we did see the slow motion there. Ben, I don't use a clicker. Too bad. But you've watched enough Olympic recurve to pick it. Yeah, sure. If you're shooting Olympic freestyle with the side and stabilizers, in my opinion, the clicker is the most important part. You can get away with not using a stabilizer, but you can get away with not using a sight. You can aim like gap shooting or bare bow, like in string walking. But the clicker is the biggest and most important. Well, it's the smallest but most important tool for an Olympic freestyle shooter. A lot of people say sights do it. It's actually the clicker. People who train with the clicker find it really hard to shoot without it. Especially when you use your own Olympic gear, take the clicker off, it feels really, really weird. So that's how important it is to train correctly with the clicker, because it's what defines you as a freestyle shooter, more so than the sight and the stabilizers. Strange as it sounds, if you start with a clicker, you've got to end with a clicker. Sorry, Arctic Juice is apple green tea, chai time. Apparently, we have all the bubble teas in our area now. You've got Gongcha, Chai Time, and Bubble Cup. And Chai Time delivers via Uber Eats. So, it's awesome. I'm not a huge fan of bubble teas, but I'm a bit over that now. But for those cravings, Uber Eats. Hi, David, by the way. David Salmon. Welcome back. nu.sensei. Simon, you've been shooting for 11 months, and you haven't used a clicker. Yeah, that's a long time. There's always this discussion about when to use a clicker. Some people will say that you should have consistent draw length first, then use a clicker. Some people will use the clicker to ascertain what your draw length is. I'm the latter mindset, where the clicker is a training tool, and that will tell you when you are drawing prematurely and overdrawing and so on. It doesn't take long to establish your draw length. The clicker can always be moved. It's not permanent. You can always move the clicker to suit your draw length. Many people will expand a bit further than what they started out as. So it's not super important to stay away from the clicker. There are negative training mindsets where people who don't feel confident to have bad coaches or no coaches. In this case, like Hudal, for example, where this will actually be a bad thing, where the clicker can ruin you. But the people who actually are properly taught with clickers will shoot exceptionally well, much better than someone not using a clicker. So that's a general thing. So 11 months without a clicker is a long time. Most coaches will probably give one to you sooner rather than later. 11 months is a very long development time for not using your clicker. Sorry, move my head a bit. Alright. What else is there? Ben, is there anything I can do to train myself to not collapse before I release? Laura's already mentioned this. Shot trainers are very good. The Astra Shot Trainer is designed so that you can attach the paracord and the elastic to your arm, and when you let go of the string, the band will catch the string. Look up Astra Shot Trainer. I already reviewed it. That tool is specifically designed to practice shooting and drawing without dry firing, obviously. Yeah, Sammy's right. The elbow goes straight down, so it's obviously not using back tension. David, what arrow rest would you prefer if you're shooting arrows with veins from a Islamic Sage? Arrow rest, huh? Probably, honestly, I'll probably be using like a Hoyt Super Rest or a Hunter Rest. Like, there isn't much choice in terms of traditional bows. Either you shoot off the shelf with a rug and a strike plate, or you use a stick-on rest. I don't like the screw-in rest. Those are harder to adjust and harder to tune. They're functional actually. They're quite decent, but they tend to be harder plastic. The Hunter rests are probably the best ones. Some better than others. I prefer the hard plastic Hunter rests. But the base all the same. Like the $5 rest, it's not going to cause a problem if anything else. Oh, Lawrence, you got a shooting video. Fantastic. That'll be a second video. I had one video planned today, and that was the one there. So that is the point there. So I'll get that open very shortly once I get my email sorted out. There we go. So we'll get that opened up very shortly. Yeah, most arrow rests are the same for trad bows. There's no huge difference between each one. Any future videos on the IS-4? No, the tank hasn't changed. The metagame has, but the tank hasn't, so I'm not too keen on going back to it. Fun tank though, but yeah, nothing's changed. Alright, let me load Lawrence's video. That's gonna pop up very shortly. Let's see, Asmir. Also see vids like the recent practice ones. Yeah, sure, yeah, practice vids are fun. The problem with practice vids is that they take time to make, right? For me mostly, like, I want to shoot. Like, I want to prioritize shooting, scoring, training. It's nice to create logs, but they take extra effort and extra time to do. When I'm in the swing of things and the rhythm and making videos, sure, there'll be more of that. I tend to only do it for the my Olympic recurve because that's what I want to compete in. I don't really have a goal for the other kinds of bows. I might do a bear bow, a modern bear bow setup and go through that. But for the trad bows, I don't really the fun bows. I don't really think about them. I don't really lecture myself on how to shoot them. It's for fun bows. Yeah, so I saw the comment there, Asmir. Yeah, it's interesting, but like I said, I don't have a goal. I don't want to train with the trad bows. They're fun bows. If I wanted to shoot seriously, I'd do something similar, but that's not what I have in mind. So, with that said, let's swing over to Lawrence, and we'll see his video in this sequence. So, let's have a look at Lawrence, and I'll get the headphones back on. Let's also listen. Alright. Strong shot. I should point out, it's actually really fascinating to watch Lawrence because we've just watched Kudao, who's a beginner. I know Lawrence has been shooting for a while now. How long have you been shooting, Lawrence, by the way? Because I know you've been following me for quite a while now. How long have you been shooting for? Because it's really fascinating to watch the difference between someone who is just starting out and someone who's done it for, I think, years now. You've got a much more consistent process. And there's much more control on the shot. That's very good clicker reaction. And this is what I mean by when you train correctly with the clicker, it's automatic. You don't even think about it. In fact, thinking about it ruins the shot. So just do it. The clicker is what activates your release. And that's very clean. You're using clicker, right? I assume you are, but it's can't right see right there. Now that's very good shooting. Alright, so what can we pick out for Lawrence? What can we pick out? We'll watch it a few sequences again. 6 years, yeah. Close to 7. Basically shooting as long as I have. Which is kind of funny if you think about it. So I'm on about 7.5 years now. Just over 7.5 years myself. So I'm barely more experienced than you. It's nice to watch. Just a nice loose grip, bow drops nicely. Alright, let's nitpick. This is good shooting, so I'll be giving you something a bit more advanced than Skydraw, because you're fine. So, these are, I mean, this works for you, but as a coach and as an observer, I'd point out a few small things for you, Lawrence. So, this is something I'd probably pay a bit more attention to head positioning. Your habit is that you tilt your head back, you anchor under your chin, and then you tilt your head forward. Nose off the string. Yeah, I'd probably, especially shooting indoor, I'd probably want to be a bit more aggressive in your head position. You've got enough contact, so it's consistent, but I feel that that's going to be a source of variables when you shot process. I actually do the same thing when I shoot, especially when I'm tired. I tilt my head back and I tuck it under, but that is perhaps, it's something which some pro shooters will do, and they'll do it consistently. But this is, as a coach, something I'd ping as an area you might want to refine. So there's a change in your position there. So your head moves forward, and the fundamental rule in all these things is you should draw to your anchor, not move your head to your anchor. So your head should already be in position before this. I'm going through a similar process right now where I'm trying to address that point specifically, where I am trying to keep my head still. This is how I used to start as well. Okay, my head's up, and then when I draw, I put my head down. Now, I still do that to get stronger contact, but it's probably something you want to work on more consistently. Let's get your head in the right position before you start to draw and get it in there. It seems a little weird because your hands will go under here. When you look at the way you position your head, actually we're doing slow motion because I think this is a bit of a tell as to where your shot can be slightly off. You see what I mean there? So if you look at this draw again, that's about an inch below your chin, and then your head moves forward. That's gonna be very hard to replicate. I'll tell you from experience. Trying to do this and get it right, you're working with your string picture. That's what kind of controls your head positioning, which is a good way to safeguard anything going horribly wrong here in terms of your shot accuracy. But it's something which, as you can train further, you might want to keep this more consistent. The real good archers put the head in position, they'll draw, they'll tuck it in, and they'll expand and push through from there. So that's probably the one thing I point out immediately is the head should be a bit more still. Not incredibly bad, because again, you can actually be very consistent with this method here. But that is something I'd probably pick out. Now, the other thing which, I'm still on half speed, that's fine. There's one more thing I'd point out. So the head position was one of them. I recommend keeping the head in position. At this point, in your pre-draw, get your head down and then draw to your anchor point there. That's what I recommend instead of going this way. So that's a bit too much movement to be consistent at a competitive level. Some people have to do this, but that's something I would change. The second part is the way you get through your clicker. So when I watch the hand movement, I've got a feeling the hand moves a bit further back rather than expanding backwards. So you can see that it's an active motion there. This is not a bad thing. This is what I actually do when I shoot on an average day. So I can see you're trying really hard to expand and get the release going. You can see there is a bit of hand motion here before you release. That wasn't too bad, that one. That's the same one. But if you go to a different one, I think there's a bit of hand movement. So try to keep that really tight in your anchor point, and I think that it slightly drops. This is what I used to do. You're like, like younger me. That one's pretty good. A little strain, but that's still pretty good. I think there were several shots where they start to drop a bit. That wasn't too bad. No, I'm not being too professional at your level. I'm just being mindful where this drops. Yeah, that was a bit more of a collapse. That's okay. Most of the shots are alright. Bit of movement there. Yeah. Well, it's like 90% good, so I'm not going to pick that out too much. So yeah, my two small things, head position is probably one of those 5% things, and that slight hand movement on your anchor point you expand might be another 5%, but 90% good shooting. So that's my feedback for you. Pretty good there. All right, so other comments. What are we talking about here? Yes, Ben, I've got several bows which I haven't had time to review. It's spring now. We've had daylight savings, so we've got I've got daylight till like 7:30. As we get closer to summer, that will go to like 8 o'clock, 8:30. So I've got much more time to do so. I do have several bows which I've got in boxes. I've got a high bow, which is a Chinese riser. I have the bows and bow horn 25-inch target riser. I've done the 17-inch longbow bows and bow, but I do have a target IOF version, which is looking really nice. I've got it right here, in fact. I'm not going to take it out right now. I have the toe point unison, which I got ages ago, but haven't shot yet because I haven't had time to do so. As far as trad bows go, I've got several long bows and flat bows to knock around with. Yeah, I just need to set it up. Target recurves are much harder to do for me because with a traditional bow, it comes as is. Just put together, put on the arrow rest, and you shoot, and it's very easy to do. Whereas a target recurves, you need to set it up, put the rest on, tune it, get arrows or use the right arrows, and put on sights and stabilizers. You need more time to do so. I just don't have time to do that. But I've got quite a few things coming up. What else do we? Is it possible, Yami? Is it possible to anchor on the chest since it's more stable than the head? That's the way people used to shoot in the ancient Greek period. Used to draw bows to the chest. Now, the problem of drawing to the chest is that while it is more stable than the head, it makes it nearly impossible to aim the shot. It's going to be an instinctive shot process mostly. That's what the original archers, like the really classic archers, didn't really aim as much. They kind of looked at the target, felt there, and let go. Very hard to aim with the anchor down here. That's your eyes up here, down here. If you're using a sight, it's going to make it really hard to use a sight. It's much more efficient and easier to draw high close. The closer it is to your eye, the easier it is. Another thing to consider too is the back tension. If drawn to your chest, it's quite low. So using more your triceps to draw it back, whereas up here, you get the right back muscle engagement. So the answer is actually no. The problem isn't so much the anchor, but the rest of your shot process is compromised because you have no T-shaped alignment, which is what an archer should be having. So yeah, very hard to do this. Now it can be done. This is what the whole Lars Anderson thing is about, right? He shoots very low and he kind of half draws at his chest, but it's an anchor. He just releases. So yeah, it's not a good method to use. The styles which draw to the chest don't anchor at the chest; they just draw towards the chest. So yeah, no, you wouldn't anchor on the chest. Consistency is achieved the other ways, but not by drawing to the chest. Yeah. All right. So I think that will conclude the live stream now. Some chat going on. That's fine. Lawrence is the start of the show. I think that covers most of what I wanted to cover. So I wanted this just for cooldown mostly because there are many areas which I would have to address sooner rather than later, like immediately. Sky drawing is very bad. clicker must be used correctly. And thanks to Lawrence for sharing video. That adds a bit more variety to our show. Yeah, so as usual, people, if you want to get a form check, feel free to email me. The email is in the description below, as well as my YouTube page. I normally do these, I try to be at least once a month, depending on how many people send in videos. I normally wait till we get like 3 or 4 lined up before I do them in a sequence. And of course, this is all for us to learn from each other. Anyway, we'll end it there. It's only midnight. Got a few things to do before I sleep. But thanks for following, as usual. I look forward to seeing more of your stuff. We are halfway through the month right now, so the end of month Q&A will be happening. And I've got several other videos lined up ready to shoot. So I'm in the process of actually scripting videos and research and preparing stuff. So once, I mean, we're in the middle of spring now, but now that daylight savings is, it's over, I can finally have time to film after work and hopefully do more shooting as well. So thanks to everyone for following. This is of course NUSensei, and I will see you next time.